So timing-wise, I think it was perfect to do one voice today. There's another song called One Song, written by Marvin Hamlish. And then there's another song called One Thing, which was a song someone wrote about the teachings of Ernest Holmes. The thing itself, the one thing. And what do we hear all the time in this teaching? There is one mind. Okay? There is one mind and we all are it, yes? There is one God, there is one love, there is one power, yes? All of that because we actually are a part of this thing called oneness, which is a really big topic today in the spiritual world, in church world. And that's what I want to talk about today. So first I want to show you my talk title. Most of you get it during the week when it comes out, what the talk title is. Many of you have asked me, what is this talk title about? What is this word? The thing about Holons. Scott, you seem to know what a Holon is. No, does anybody know what a Holon is? Okay, Doug, of course you do, because you're in the class. Yes, so this is something that came up in advanced consciousness this week. And the new advanced consciousness class, you know, we have all new books this term, and it's really amazing to go through this stuff. So the thing about holons, so let me start just by saying, what is a holon? A holon is something that is simultaneously a whole and a part. Make sense? No? Who said no? Okay. A holon, Cal, is you. You are a holon. Every single one of us is a holon because you are simultaneously the entire universe and the individuation of that universe. Now, here's the irony. Not the irony. Here's the funny part. Not even the funny part. Here's what's great. This is scientific. This is what physicists, quantum physicists, have understood that the universe is. This is what we are. We are one entangled, amazing, infinite field of pure potential and energy and love and light and wisdom and truth and all of those attributes. We are all of that, and we are Carolyn. All of that individuates as an individual, as a human being. The problem with this, when it becomes a problem, is because we tend to believe that once we are individuated, we're separate. We're separate from all of that. Suddenly we are, you know, Carol or Pavel or Brad or Sherry or all of us. We're those, we're that, I'm James. I'm individualized as James, but I'm also a holon. I'm the entire, well, what does Rumi say? I am the entire ocean in a drop. This guy got this thousands of years before anybody knew what a holon was. And now we get it. Scientifically, we get it. Right, Lisa? Because you get it, right? You try. So, and this is something to think about. How do you use this, of course? How do you use this information? Do I walk around bigger? You know, it's like, I'm all of the world now. That could look weird. But here's something interesting. You know, I don't quote the Bible that often or quote Jesus that often. But, you know, Jesus kind of said it. Who hath seen me hath seen the Father. He basically is saying every single person is God. We are all this one thing. And I use this picture because, you know, I choose all of these pictures for these slides. I use this picture because the other day I was walking down Ventura Boulevard and there was somebody sleeping on a bench. And I stopped for a minute and I actually did some work on myself. I was like, I noticed my first reaction, which was, this is awful, this person, you know, how do they bathe? My first reaction was sad. My second reaction, once I stopped and looked, was, that's me. That has to be me too. Because if we are all entangled and we are all one, then who hath seen me hath seen the Father. If I can see God, we sing it all the time, I see God in everything. But do I? Do I really see God in everything? Do I treat people like I see God in everything? We just came through an amazingly separate election. Half the world realized it one way, half the world realized it the other way. Or maybe the percentages are off. I don't even know anymore. I don't pay attention at this point. But we came through this rather cracked surface and leaving sides. There are sides now, right? But who hath seen me hath seen the Father. Every single person I look at, every single aspect of my life, of my being, is God. It's all intertwined. There's only one thing. That's what this is all about. So I want to go to one of my favorite teachers is Thich Nhat Hanh. How many of you have read Thich Nhat Hanh? There's a wonderful book, The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's a wonderful book. Wasn't that the book that destroyed our reading club, Kevin? Oh, that was Trungpa. That's right. How many people have read Trungpa? And that's why. Okay. So Thich Nhat Hanh is an amazing, amazing Buddhist. And he said this: people normally cut reality into compartments and so are unable to see the interdependence of all phenomena. To see one in all and all in one is to break through the great barrier which narrows one's perception of reality. Y'all get that? Right. So I have a question for you, which is, what is your perception of reality? What is yours, your individual one? Bless you. So to see one in all and all in one, to really get this idea of oneness, is to break through the great barrier which narrows one's perception of reality. We are all walking through life with our own AEP, our own already established premise of what life is. We're all walking through life with our own perception of what life is, which is why one person experiences life this way, and the same exact ingredients are being experienced a whole different way over here because of their perception of life. So I want to give you the opportunity today to ask yourself that question. What is your perception of life? So Lisa Carey this week took me to an event. And, most people, when they invite me to an event, I kind of go kicking and screaming because I really like my private time and I don't have a lot of downtime. And so she asked me about this event, but when she explained it to me, I was like, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like interesting. It was all about meditation, and there were Tibetan monks that made a mandala right in front of us, which Lisa and I thought was a piece of tapestry. When we walked in and looked at it, I was like, oh, what a nice piece of tapestry. It wasn't. It was a million pieces of sand that these 4 Tibetan monks from Tibet that came over to do this, had made just now. And when I walked in, I saw them doing it, but I didn't know what they were doing. And then, after that, these monks did what was called opening a portal. And frankly, it sounded a little sci-fi to me. What did you say, woo-woo? Yeah. It sounded a little, we're going to open a portal now. I was like, okay. Where's that happening? It's kind of a small room here, folks. But it's not. It's just meditation. Opening a portal is opening your mind to a new consciousness. That's all it is. That's opening a portal. And so they chanted. Very raw chanting, wasn't it? Very raw chanting. Were you in the portal part? Yeah, it was very raw. They're chanting. I'm used to pretty chanting, like pretty Buddhists, that are like, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And this was like, Aah! But it was so primal. We were like, as soon as they started, we were like, wow, it just went right through you. So we did all of this and it was a great evening. And then some speakers got up. It was just a beautiful evening in Malibu overlooking the ocean. And there was a moment where I lost Lisa. She went to do something. And I was sitting at the bar, not the bar, but at a bar. No, at a chair, at a counter. The bar was behind me. And looking out over the ocean, which I couldn't see because it was dark. Even though it was the ocean, right there, I could not see the ocean. And I had this thought. I was like, how do I know the ocean is there if I can't see it? I was sitting at this chair, nothing between me and the ocean other than this one little counter. And it didn't matter because I knew the ocean was there. And I had the feeling of sitting in front of the ocean. And I was like, this is what oneness is all about for me. I know I'm one with everything, so I don't have to see the entanglement. I get it. I understand it. And it's a feeling. It's an understanding. And that was, to me, that was like my most profound moment of the whole night, as spiritual as the whole thing was. So these Tibetan monks made the mandala. They opened a portal. And then it was interesting because I saw spirituality in a very different way. And I was watching the whole event, and I started to ask myself, what am I doing? What am I doing in this world? What do I want to do? And I said to Lisa on the way home, I said, I have two things that came out of this. I know who I don't want to be, and I know who I do want to be. And I think I've been leaning very heavily on what I do want to be. But it's good every now and then to know this is not for me, but this is. And then, as we were driving back over the hill, I got to the point of, wait, what I don't want to be can totally meld with what I do want to be because they're one thing. I once again stepped into duality. There's what I don't want, this is what I do want. As opposed to staying wide open, the law of polarity, the wide open to all of it. So, Albert Einstein said this. He said, a person experiences life as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. Our task must be to free ourselves from this self-imposed prison and through compassion to find the reality of oneness. Compassion is the operative word in this. And what is compassion other than the outward expression of love? And what is love besides our vision statement? Love only. If we were to walk through life loving only, frankly, Mother Teresa said it, you don't have time to judge if you're loving. You don't have time to criticize other people. You don't have time to play the blame game or to play the comparison game if you're just loving. So, Albert Einstein makes a really great point. The thing about Holons, which you all are, is that you are one with everyone and everything on this planet, in the universe. Okay, I'm going to say it again. You are one with everyone and everything. What if you walked through life and you didn't have a them and us mentality? What if you managed to go through life without thinking anyone was that different from you? There was a gentleman at this event who I ended up talking to, and he said to me, he said, oh, I was at an event last night at Mar-a-Lago. And I said, first I said to my face, check in. Make sure you're not being judgmental at all. And then he said, you know, and I was a speaker at this event, and it was me and Tucker Carlson and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And I was just like, and we had this great talk, and he said to me, he said, you know, one of the problems with our world is that we paint things with such bold brushes. We cover everything over with this bold brush of colors, and yet, if we actually had the opportunity to not do that, we might notice the intricacies of color everywhere present, and we would stop living in such a small world. And he said, he told me what it felt like, and he is more on the liberal side. He said, but you know, everybody has something to offer. Everyone has something to offer. He said, in this world right now, and he also said, and I was already told not to talk about politics in this room tonight. I said, well, you blew it. I said, you already did. But we had a really wonderful conversation, and I got it. I said, you know, if we're going to live in this concept of wholeness, if we're going to teach oneness, if we're going to ask ourselves to love only, what are we doing? Are we going to do this or not? Are we going to live from the perspective, right, from the already established premise of every single person that speaks to me is God? There is something coming towards me that's mine to hear, not just mine to react to, but to actually hear. And maybe if we started hearing before we reacted, we'd hear more and we'd understand more, right? So Mahatma Gandhi said this. He said, the final goal of all religions is to realize the essential oneness. Now, I'm not talking about organized religions. Luckily, this is not very organized. Right? Yes. We're pretty spontaneous. But I think that's true. All religions. I have to say, sitting there on Wednesday night with the chanting and watching those monks, I was a Buddhist for like 5 years, but I was a Broadway Buddhist. So it was very different. You know, we sang show tunes. No. But I was a Broadway Buddhist, which meant it was. Remember the musical A Chorus Line? Yeah. Well, Michael Bennett and Nick Dante and everybody else that was involved in that, they were all Buddhists. So in order to get into a chorus line, you needed to go chant. And so that was my purpose. When I first was taken to a Buddhist meeting, it was because I wanted to be in a chorus line. So I went and knelt down and Nam Myoho Renge Kyo'd myself into a job. And I did eventually get into a chorus line. But that's not why I kept with Buddhism for 5 years, because it really centered my soul. And I sometimes forget that. You know what? Catholicism centered my soul until it told me I was a sinner, and then I had to find another path. But Catholicism centers my soul. Hinduism, Judaism. You know, I end up at a lot of Jewish programs. We do our own New Thought Seder, which is fabulous. The final goal of all religions is to realize the essential oneness. What if all religions recognized all religions as a place to find your oneness? And it didn't matter which one you chose. And we didn't play the God game of my God is better than your God, right? So, Swami Vivekananda says this: oneness is the secret to everything. Y'all remember when The Secret came out? Yeah, The Secret was, thoughts are things. You use your mind, your thoughts create your reality. That's not true. It's not true that your thoughts create your reality. Because what are your thoughts? Your thoughts are nothing more than the logical expression of your beliefs. You can't think thoughts that are not attached to certain beliefs. So what's really creating your reality? Your beliefs. If you believe the world's a harsh place, you will find harshness. If you believe the world is a loving place, you will find love. If you believe life is hard, if you believe, like in Flashdance, you got to work for a living. What is that song called? She works hard for the money. How many people here work hard for the money? Stop. Stop working hard for the money. Understand money's yours to have. Wouldn't that be nice? If you actually believed that? But those beliefs are what's running the show. So it's not done unto you it is done unto you as you believe, not it's done unto you as you think. So oneness is the secret to everything. Behind the beliefs is this world of Holons, where everything is one. One infinite, magnificent, spectacular, creative energy. All of that is who you are. And then you get to decide what you're going to do with it. So I guess the most important thing is, how does this change my life? How can I use the understanding of the Holon, of what I am, to make my life better? Because isn't that why you're here? Yes. Okay, good. I know you are, Andrea, of course. That's why I came to these centers first. When I first heard David Walker speak, and he said, you can have anything you want in the world. You have to be equal to it in mind. I was like, I love the first part, and now I want to know what the second part means, right? Because that got me.
You can really have anything you want. And I was an out-of-work actor living in Los Angeles in an apartment with my husband. And we both went together and we were like, we can have anything once we're equal to it in mind. Kevin was like, go take classes. Tell me what it says. So I did. Little did he know I'd end up here as a minister, and as he puts it, ruins every Sunday of his life. But are you equal to it? I mean, that ends up being the thing. If I know that I'm one with everything, that I am everything, so back to Wednesday night. So I sat there on Wednesday night, and there were such amazing people at this event. These were like the heads of CEOs of companies, the speakers, all these great minds. And I sat there thinking, do I want this type of visibility? Do I want to take this to the next level? Do I want any of this? And you'd be really surprised at what my answer was, because it was a resounding yes. But it surprised me, because I've been really good about, I like my life, I like what I'm doing, I love all of this, and if something were to happen and catapult me somewhere else, that'd be fine. No, you're like ready. Yeah. But now I feel differently. I was like, wait, let me go back to what Dr. Walker said 120 years ago, when he said, you can have anything you want if you are mentally equal to it. And so I started asking myself, what am I not mentally equal to? And what am I mentally equal to? And that's been a really great journey for these last few days for me. And this last quote by Eckhart Tolle, at the deepest level, an open heart is spacious presence in which the sense of separateness between yourself and the other dissolves, and there is the recognition of oneness, of shared consciousness. Do you know you can have anything you want? You can have anything you want the minute you realize who you are. That's it. As soon as you realize that you are one of everything, not one with everything, that's still dualistic, but you are one of everything. This idea, shared consciousness. You share consciousness with the entire universe. Every thought that's ever been thunk, every thought that has ever been thought is in your mind somewhere. Because you are the entire mind. You are the entire universe. You are a holon. You are all of it. The thing about holons is, until they realize who they are, what they are floating in an abyss of separateness. And I think it's time for all of us to stop floating and to ground ourselves in this truth. I am all of it, and I am one of it. And as one of all of it, I can have, be, and do whatever I decide to do, which is how I become equal to it. So what I say to all of you holons out there, ground yourself and get to work using your mind to make your life better. Namaste.